welcome to my channel. I'm Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 108 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Let's get into it. We start in the Temple of the Archheart after having just woken up from their meeting with him. They look around and see their two unconscious prisoners. Imogen takes a bit of extra damage because she should have taken damage from her staff in the last episode, so she now only has 2 HP. They talk about healing Imogen, but the two guards that Dorian distracted outside begin to run their inside into the temple, but they stop in the entryway. Dorian heals everyone for 16 HP, and then Ashton earth glides underground and waits for the two guards in the hallway to run. Orm tries to read their lips and rolls a perception check of 27. He sees them just swaying there as if they're hypnotized and not talking. The party notice that Ira is invisible to them. Breas heals Imogen for 30 more HP, and Ashton pokes his head out of the ground and sees Ira is above the two guards on the entryway of the temple, holding his hands up as if he's puppeteering them. Orm sees that there's magic around their faces, and Imogen says that they need to deal with them somehow. She asks if they can manipulate their minds and make it look like Ludinus betrayed them. Ira says that he can, and he can do it a few times. They plan to do this on the Emissary and their guards. Chetney asks if Ira saw their guest just now, and Ira asks if he means the Sorrow Lord. Chetney says yes, and has to make a deception check. He rolls an 18, hopefully that was enough, because Chetney was actually talking about the Archheart. Ira says that he can attempt to change their memories 3 times, but it may not work, as Fae are rather resistant to magics. Dorian throws down the Emissary, and they start with him. The party wonder what they know about him, but they just recall hearing the name Cashador, which sounds like Cazador, and it's going to mess me up for the rest of the recording. Cashador is currently tied up. Chetney casts Bane on Cashador and the other guards to try to affect their saving throws, but Cashador, the Emissary, resists it. His guards don't, though. They both wake up, and Ira casts Modify Memory on one of the guards. The first guard fails and freaks out, asking where the Vanguard are. The second guard passes the roll and saves against the spell, and asks what the other is talking about. Imogen chooses just to Psychic Lance the one that's saved. He fails and takes 34 damage. The guard begins to bleed from the nose and dies. The guard that failed asks what's going on, and Breas says that he'll take care of the dead one. Imogen asks Ira to cast the spell on the Emissary now, who is still out cold. Ira does, and the guard goes over and tries to cut the Emissary free of his bindings. He gives him a healing potion, and the Emissary wakes up. It looks like the Emissary whispers something to the guard. Orm rolls a 33 on a perception check and hears, on the count of 3, run. The guard then turns and goes to shield bash Fern, who's closest to them. Fern then tries to thorn whip him before he can make contact, and she does, successfully stopping his attack. Ashton then swings for the guard, and crits, dealing 44 damage to the guard. Ashton swings again and hits for non-lethal damage of 14, knocking the guard out. The party now roll initiative for the fight with the Emissary. And they start off rather good with Dorian with a 26, Orm with a 23, Ashton with a 22, and Laudna with a 21. Matt chooses not to hear the rest of them out because it's very likely that the Emissary, who just woke up and barely was healed, is going to go down soon. Dorian goes and grapples Cashador successfully, and puts him in a rear naked choke. Orm runs up and smacks Cashador on the head with the sending stone that he got from Caleb to knock out the Emissary and instantly ending the combat. Laudna and Chetney then go over and start tying up Zuda just to make sure he doesn't run away from them. He is still unconscious. The party think they should go back to Nana's. Chetney asks if they can teleport with the staff, but Imogen says that she needs 7 charges to do that, and it only has 4. Fern asks Ira what the best way back is, and he points in the direction of her house. Chetney asks if he can teleport them there, but Ira says that if he didn't try to manipulate their minds and on people who they just killed or injured and knocked out, he would have more spell slots for them to do so. Fern steps outside and looks for Gloomglut, but can't see him. Dorian says that he can take one person on him with his flying steed. Orm asks if Nana can help, and Imogen casts Sending to her. We may need some help getting back to you with a couple of prisoners for you to have some fun with. 12 people in total. Nana answers, well, dear, that's quite a few people to remotely bring home. I can try flying that way and grabbing a few, but even I have my limitations. Fern then says that she can transform and carry a few people. Dorian says that he can take the emissary, and Fern says that she can take the guard and Zuda. Chetney says if Gloomglut is connected to Zuda, if Nana can take him, that'll be best because he might follow Nana instead. Imogen sends a message back to her using the sending spell. We're willing to split up as many as you can take. Would be helpful. How long will it take for you to get here? Nana says she can be there in an hour and take 3 people comfortably, 4 people with a burden. Sorry for the smell. That might be the grossest thing I think she's ever said. I don't know why, just something about that rubs me the wrong way. The party choose to wait here for her. Orm then jumps to the top of the temple to get a better view to look for Gloomglut. He gets to the top of the temple without any issue, and he sees the overgrown village and makes a perception check of 25. He doesn't see Gloomglut. The party choose to rest. 10 minutes in, Zuda starts to wake up. Brace immediately knocks him out. He hits and deals 25 damage, putting Zuda back to sleep, or in a very bad situation, and Brace stabilizes him. During the short rest, Laudna casts Spirit of Death and makes it look like Bodor. Great. She tells it to haunt Zuda. The spirit goes over to Zuda and embraces him and enters his body. He will now be haunted by Bodor and technically Laudna. Brace asks if they could somehow trick the emissary by staging some fights in front of him, looking like the Vanguard attacked the Unseelie. Orm doesn't think that'll work, and Ashton says that he's a bad actor. Dorian says that he can cast Gios to force the emissary to try to stop the Unseelie from joining the fight, to lay down their arms if they will. I'm curious how people pronounce that spell, because apparently people got really upset with Robbie for how he was pronouncing it. I'm basing it off Code Geass, the anime, because I'm pretty sure it has the same spelling, and to me that just makes the most sense, because I'm pretty sure, like, that's what the anime is about, like, being able to control people like that. So I just feel like that makes a lot of sense that they're pronounced similar. So I'm curious how people spell that. Anyway, the party are on board with that idea. But first, Laudna casts Bane on all of the prisoners to make the saving throws a little bit harder. The emissary saves, the other 2 fail. But they want the emissary to fail, so they try again, and this time the emissary fails, but the other 2 save, but they don't care about them right now. They try to go for the plan now, but Orm says whatever they tell him, it must be something that will drive him to stop the Unseelie court. Brace says the Unseelie likely have mages who can probably dispel this magic they're putting on the emissary, and the party talk about other spells they can use to help this plan work. Brace looks at the emissary and sees that he is a light-skinned fey elf with very exaggerated features, like super long ears, much like how Fern is very exaggerated in her appearance. Brace suggests that Laudna dresses him, but she doesn't think that's a good idea and is a waste of time to try to use her to, like, deceive them. The emissary at this moment starts to stir. Imogen and Dorian put on Vanguard robes. Brace uses disguised self to look like Ludinus. It seems like they're going with the staging a play plan now. The emissary wakes up and Imogen says everything has gone according to plan. Ludinus. Brace, dressed as Ludinus, says, "You mean all of the Unseelie have been taken out?" Imogen says yes. They took them all out. Brace says, "Oh, and you left the emissary for me to deal with. It'll be my pleasure." They start to laugh and suddenly Orm attacks the disguised Brace. However, Dorian suddenly knocks out the emissary. Imogen and Brace now have to roll deception checks. Imogen a 17 and Brace a 20. Honestly, those are pretty bad rolls for them. Like, in all honesty. They then set up the next scene of Orm choking the disguised Brace and Laudna holding what looks to be a dead Chetney, as Chetney has chosen to fall asleep during this whole conversation, so they're going to use his unconscious body. So Dorian heals the emissary, waking him up, and they play out the scene. After a few seconds, Ashen now knocks out the emissary. They then set up the third act. As they are doing so, Orm hears a poof sound and looks over to where Zuda was, and watches as his ropes that were tying him or holding him down suddenly drop to the ground empty. Laudna knows exactly where he is because of Spirit of Death, and he is outside the temple. She informs the others and they begin to move that way. Imogen Misty steps outside and sees that he's running away. The rest start to move out as well. It's time to roll initiative. Chetney, 21, Brace, 21, Orm, 18, Ashton, 16, Imogen, 14, Dorian 12, Laudna 12, and Fern 5. Chenny runs out of the temple, dashing to do so. He then sees Zuda off in the distance and throws his chisel at him. Chenny hits and uses Brand of Castigation on him, dealing 15 hit points, and he can also now track where Zuda is. As Zuda is running, he is hit by the chisel and is dropped to the ground, skidding across the ground as he does so. The party start to go collect him, and suddenly Gloomglut lands in front of them. He swings for Imogen and misses. He then picks up Zuda in his other hand. Breas is now up. He runs forward through the temple and then Misty steps to get outside. He then uses Channel Divinity to use Nature's Wrath. Gloomglut needs to make a strength saving throw, but using his bard abilities, Breas changes that to a charisma saving throw instead. Gloomglut rolls a natural 20. Laudna uses silvery barbs on him to make him re-roll that, but he still gets a natural 19. Gloomglut is not restrained by Nature's Wrath. Orm runs up and air slashes at Zuda, giving him one failed death saving throw. Orm then swings again and hits, dealing more damage, but it's just another death saving throw. Yes, technically, that's not how this works, but it's their game, so who really cares? He should be dead now. That should be 2 deaths, or that should be 4 death saves, but it literally doesn't matter. Zuda is up, he rolls a death save and fails. He dies in the hands of his bonded Fey dragon. Gloomglut looks down at his master and begins to shake him, and then lets out a very guttural scream. Ashen is up, still inside the temple. He yells asking what's going on, and he's going to be keeping an eye on the Emissary and the other unconscious guard. Imogen is up. She flies up to the saddle of Gloomglut. At this moment, Matt throws the character sheet of Zuda to the ground. I believe this is the 3rd time that Liam has caused a very similar reaction to happen. Once in Campaign 1, once in Campaign 2, and now once in Campaign 3. So, yeah, Liam likes to kill off characters for Matt that can give them information, apparently. Imogen tries to calm Gloomglut using her psychic connections. Animal handling check of 6, so it doesn't work. She tries to connect to Gloomglut, but she feels sadness and great anger, and can't break through to him. Then she tells him to calm down, they can bring him back. Dorian is up, he sprints to the doors, and sees Gloomglut has arrived. Laudna is up. Well, it took his whole action and movement to get to the door. Laudna is now up. She casts Ray of Frost on Gloomglut, but misses. She then quicken spells and tries again, but misses again. Fern is up. She walks outside, and she takes in what's happened. She looks at Gloomglut and cuts her hand open so that it starts to bleed. She then holds her hand up to Gloomglut and says that I'm family. Persuasion check from Fern, and she rolls a 31. Gloomglut stops. His mouth opens up as if he's about to, shoot his fiery breath. Fern then rubs the spot that he likes a lot. Gloomglut smells her blood and lowers his head and looks at her. She tells him that it's okay, and now Fern has his attention. Chetney is up. He holds inflict wounds as he's within range of Gloomglut, and he's going to wait for Gloomglut to act up. Gloomglut is up. He looks at Fern and then looks at Zuda. He looks back at Fern and whines, and then bumps his head into her hand. Breas is now up. He casts Ensnaring Strike and holds his attack action, just like Chetney is. Orm does the same. Well, doesn't cast Ensnaring Strike, but he holds his attack. Ashen is up. He places his hammer on top of the guard and the unseelie Emissary, and uses the immovable rod function of his hammer to keep them in place. That hammer is badass. Imogen is up. She is in the saddle of Gloomglut, and she feels him settle a bit. She uses Mage Hand to copy the movements that Fern is doing. Animal handling check of 13. It doesn't seem to do anything. It doesn't piss him off, and it doesn't calm him either. Dorian is up. He backs up and gives a bardic inspiration to Fern. Laudna is up. She casts a message. The different spell in sending, by the way, I should make that clear. This one only goes 120 feet. Laudna says, Nanamori, we're in kind of a situation. We have a dead Sora Lord and a dragon that is currently tamed. Please get here quick and don't spook the dragon. She then sends the copper piece off in a hope that it finds Nanamori within 120 feet. Fern is up. Gloomglut is locked on her. She sees that he has responded to her blood. She says that she's so sorry and pets him again, and she asks if she can go on top of him. A 27 on persuasion check. Gloomglut leans into her hand and then lowers his head so she can get on top of him. She looks him over and then climbs on top, behind Imogen and holds onto her. She thinks that Imogen will do a better job of piloting because she's never ridden a horse before, and Imogen has. Gloomglut then looks at Chetney. Fern yells to stop, that he's not a danger to them. Fern then asks if he can carry her friends. Gloomglut then grabs Breas in one claw, and then with his winged hands, he grabs Orm and Chetney, which means when he flaps his wings to fly, Orm and Chetney are going to be very dizzy. Imogen then casts Sending to Nana again. So Gloomglut is under control. We still have a few people for you to carry, though still. Got room for a dragon at your place. Nana responds, how very interesting. It'll make the flight a bit easier. Almost there. Gloomglut takes off, and his scales reflect the light sky of the Fey realm, the dusk sky. They then see Nana Mori come into view. Dorian and Ashton grab the Unseelie and walk out of the temple. Dorian summons his steed. He'll carry himself in the emissary and then follow the other two. Nana flies close. Imogen pulls Gloomglut away, who wants a round 2 with Nana Mori. Animal handling check of 25. In spite of what he wants to do, and he wants to fight really bad, Gloomglut pulls away from Nana Mori as she flies near. Nana Mori laughs and then flies by, and in a flash, she grabs Ashton and Laudna from the ground. The party notice that Ira is missing at this moment. What the party didn't see is before they left, Breas drew a mustache on the Archheart's face. The group begin to fly off towards the Ligament Manor. Flying across the Fey horizon sky, Gloomglut and Nana Mori carry most of the party, and Zuda. Dorian is by himself with the Unseelie Emissary. Nana leads them, and after an hour of travel passes, Nana circles the canopy of the Harrowcall Fens. Gloomglut and Dorian follow. Breas and Dorian see the rooftop garden for the first time. Nana puts down Ashton and Laudna and then transforms herself back into her normal self. Dorian lands, and then Gloomglut, still flying as Imogen can feel he was told not to come to this area before in the past. Imogen asks Nana if it's safe for him to land here, and Nana says of course. Imogen tries to get him to land, and Fern tells him to land, so he does so. He drops Zuda and Breas. He then drops Orm and Chetney. He puts his head down low so Fern and Imogen can get off easily. Fern continues to pet him. Laudna thanks Nana Mori for helping them and apologizes for asking for so much. Nana says that she doesn't mind helping her Fern and says that they also come bearing gifts, and she looks down at the body of Zuda. Laudna explains what they want to do. They want to plant new memories of Ludinus betraying the Unseelie, but shit obviously hit the fan before they could do so. Nana says that she understands and asks what they want to do with Gloomglut. Fern says that she doesn't think that he'll listen to her for much longer. Nana says, welcome to my domain, and vines burst out of the ground and begin to grab and hold on to Gloomglut, pinning him in place. Fern is not a big fan of that idea, but Nana says that she is protecting everyone else, and she owes it one after the damage that it did to her in the past. Fern asks what they'll do to Zuda, and Nana says that she has plans. Maybe she'll put him through the loom, as she likes to tease the essence over a few generations. Fern asks the party if they have any questions for Zuda. Nana says that they can talk to him after the loom. Imogen says that they don't need much from him, but Breas thinks that he might give them a bit of information of the upcoming fight. Imogen thinks that he might actually know some of that information as well. Laudna asks if Nana can bring him back, and Nana asks what form they require. As she does ask this question, the emissary and the guard begin to wake up, but Nana instantly puts them back to sleep, encapsulating them in vines. Or at least she holds them in place. I'm not sure if they're sleeping or not. Nana asks where Ira is, and Ashton says that he Ira'd. Nana says that he's always been playing hard to get. Imogen takes out her coin to let them speak with dead, but Nana says that is a simple trick and can only compel one to speak, not tell the truth. Fern asks Nana to wake up Zuda, and Nana asks if she wants a conversation or an interrogation. Dorian asks what the loom is, and Nana says that it's one of her many crafts, and it's what she uses to spruce this place up. Great. Fern feels that they need to interrogate him. Nana says, the loom it is, and she grabs his body. Gloomglut begins to struggle. Nana says that harsh lessons for you, young one, implying that Gloomglut is very young, which is interesting, because he's fucking massive. Nana Mori then goes down the stairs. The rest follow, and they pass many rooms, including Fern's room and many other dark, twisted rooms. They go even further than her tiki bar, and she leads them to a far back staircase that goes beneath the roots of the tree. A room that Fern has only ever seen once before. A curtain of roots greet them, and they open up as they walk in. Inside this room is a cage of root and metal, and a chair in the middle. It's made of wood and stone, and the stone cups up to sort of grab onto a limb. Many chains are attached to it, and they move through it and drape off of it. There are two extrusions that connect to it, and a bunch of metal rings that are laid within. She places the body onto it and lashes it in place. She pulls on the chains, and metallic arms come down with blades, hooks, and scoops. She tells the party that they may not want to watch, but they stay. She mutters something under her breath, and runic carvings begin to glow. 12 metal arms start whipping around the body of Zuda. The armor is cut free, and Zuda is being filleted rapidly into strips. Gross. Muscle and bone, and then his spiritual energy begins to drift away from him, or whatever is left. More arms come down and grab the tubes that were attached earlier and begin to suck up that spiritual energy. His strips are then weaved together and placed on a hexagonal frame and stretched over it. Zuda has been turned into a 3x3-foot piece of art with his face in the center. What the fuck? What the fuck? The machine stops and Nana grabs the art piece and asks where it should go. Fern says it should go in the tiki bar. Nana runs upstairs excitedly. The party asks Fern if she's okay, and Fern says that she's freaking out a little bit. She's seen other pieces like it, but not how it's made. They all head upstairs. Imogen threw up watching that whole thing happen. They can hear music coming from the bar before they get there, and Nana is humming, looking for a place to put Zuda on the wall. Breas pulls out a sketch that he made of Fern, and Nana wants to have it as well. He wants Nana to have it. Nana says that she'll have to remodel and snaps her fingers, and the room stretches and reshapes to make room for an art wall. Fern casts primal savagery to look more exaggerated than she already is. She then looks over Zuda and takes in his facial features, which are very similar to what it was before, but they have no eyes. Ashton stands next to her and says, they carve a hole into you, and then you spend years in a dark place looking for them. And if you're lucky, you eventually figure out that they're the ones that put you down there. I'm not sure what he's trying to imply here. I'm not sure if he's trying to connect to Zuda or not, but Ashton said that. Fern says, you don't know me, but I'm Fern. Zuda says that I know, or that he knows. She says he doesn't know, and now he won't ever know. Zuda says that he knows what she is. Fern says, you were just another person looking for power, even if you had to step on your family to do it. He says that she doesn't know what he's done to get here. Fern says that he should have told her. He says that he tried. Fern says it's a little late for that. The more Fern talks to him, the more personality goes back into it. This spiritual energy seemingly returning to his face. And his face pushes out from the weave that is his flesh, taking a bit more of his angry look to it. Fern says that he also crossed Nana, and that's why he ended up here. Zuda says that he wasn't the first, and he won't be the last to do that. Fern laughs and says that that's very true. She says that he's not her father. She was just a pawn to him. He agrees and says that he didn't really know how to show love either, so, Fern says that now he'll be here for a while. He can learn how to show it. He says that time has passed. Fern says that there's still very much time. He is going to be stuck here forever. He says he spent his whole life trying to prove himself, and now she's become what he wished to. He tells her to keep taking and carry on his memory with her needs and wants. Fern asks if he even knows what those are, and he says no, but she must do what she must to have them. It's in her blood. It's in her Nana's blood. He says that he had his sense of connection beaten from him long ago. Their people aren't very empathetic. Fern laughs and knows this. She's always known that. Zuda says that he's not her father, not in the ways that matter, but He is blood, and he has given her his curse. Fern asks what that means, and he says that she'll know in time. He says, "Burn what thou wilt, and burn what thy wishes. From the ashes, what you bear, the curse of ambition." Fern doesn't think that the curse of ambition is all that bad. Fern asks what it means to be a vessel, and he says that the boundary that holds the God Eater is the same or similar to the ones that is around the Divine Gate. She is the key. Imogen asks if many people can be a vessel at the same time. He doesn't know. He just knows that all the exalted gather, but few have the strength to actually do it. Fern asks what he thinks is necessary to have the strength, and he says that Ludinus is a fool, and they agree on the same end game. He just wants to make him cry. He wants her to make him cry. For the last thing he knows, she takes his dreams and makes it her own. He couldn't do that, but Fern can. He would have opened every back door and taken her straight to his throat, but he is now furniture. Fern says that she wishes he had more empathy for him. Imogen asks for the back entrances to the Malleus Key. He says whatever there were have been changed by the Weave Mind. He doesn't really know any of the new defenses. Ashton asks what to do about Gloomglut. How do they get Fern and him together? Because they need to. That would be badass. Laudna asks if he loves Gloomglut more than Fern. This does not get an answer. Zuda says Gloomglut is a good companion. He's young. Perhaps it needs to be free or bonded to a new master. They ask him how. He says blood magic, but that's very rare on this side of the Fey realm. Fern says her family has someone who can do that for her. Zuda says success brings an ally, failure brings an eternal enemy. I'm actually very curious what that means. I mean, I feel like that's pretty clear, but I'm still interested in that. Fern asks where he goes if he's set free, and Zuda says anywhere. This is his home after all. Imogen asks if he'll seek out vengeance if they let him go. He says if they talk to him, maybe not, but only Fern can really do that. Imogen asks how strong the army is defending the key, and he says the vanguard has been cut down quite a lot, but almost the entire Ruidian army is there, and the Vidulch is larger than you can imagine. Ozo Kuth, a warrior unlike Exandria has ever seen, on top of his own bounded Vidulch, manipulated by the Weave Mind. Ruidian combatants, assassins, thought eaters. It's an invasion, so the question is, who is going to strike first? And why are the Exaltants disappearing? Orm asks for Ludinus' biggest weakness, aside from hubris, but Zuda says that hubris is that one weakness, and it can be utilized. A being of his ability, his knowledge is very dangerous in many ways. He's crafty, even if it is him when you find him. Ashton asks who else would turn on him. Zuda isn't sure, it was too dangerous for him to inquire with them. Imogen asks how to ensure the Unseelie don't enter the fight. He says to tell them that he'll fail. The Unseelie have had a tenuous belief in him at best, and are prone to wait to see how things go. Fern asks about the disappearing Exaltants, and he says that Ludinus has been sending them off, and they don't come back. To what ends, he doesn't know. They wonder if it's to weaken the cage surrounding Predathos. Fern asks if he has seen Predathos. Zuda wasn't allowed to get close. He hates Ludinus for that. Breas asks if Fern has any siblings, and Zuda says he put all of his faith in his one. Fern asks if he ever loved her mother. He says he thinks he might have. Dorian runs up the stairs and checks on the Unseelie court members. On the way, he passes Fern's parents. They ask if Fern is here. Dorian says yes and tells them that he'll let them know they're coming. But he decides to go up to the garden first. He looks at the captives and sees that they are still very much wrapped up by whatever Nanamori wrapped them up in. He then goes back into the room. The party hear Birdie yell Fern. Nana turns the art invisible and hands them a drink as they enter. They say hi to Fern and ask if all is well. Fern says yep. Matt asks Laura to roll a d20. She rolls an 18, and that's all we know. Fern says they have more people for Nana to talk to. Nana says very well and tells Birdie to prep a meal. She asks the party how long they'll be staying, and Imogen says that they have to get going sooner than later. But they want to come back here after all this is done. They have a lot of that to do, apparently. She says she'll grow new rooms for them before they get back, and they decide to head up to the garden. They see Gloomglut, who lets out a sigh, but as they're going up, so we're winding time a little bit, Laudna asks Orm if he is alright. He says no, but it doesn't matter. She says that he made a hard choice in killing Zuda, and he supports her just like how he supported her in her time of hard choices. He's not sure if what he did was right, but they had to make a hard choice. Laudna says that Fern knows that, and they'll have to make more hard choices as the time moves forward. Orm says, from the beginning till now, and the gods haven't made that any easier. Laudna says they still have to unpack all of that, but there has been a lot already today. They hold hands and they go up the stairs. Ashen walks to Fern and she asks how he is doing. He says that he's in pain, like normal. He asks if she thought about what to do with the dragon. She has ideas. He suggests sleeping out there with it, and asks if she wants any company. She says yes. Imogen talks to Dorian in their heads, and they talk about the loom at first, but Dorian asks if they still have a mission that they're working towards. Imogen says yes, and he says that they came here to stop the Unseelie from joining Ludinus. Imogen believes they have mostly succeeded in that, but they need to wrap that up fully. Imogen tells Dorian that he's doing great, and he thanks her. They eventually reach the roof where they see Gloomglut, and he lets out a sigh. They see the prisoners are on the ground, and Nana looms over them. She tells them their magic won't work here, as they apparently are trying to use their magic. She asks if she asks what the party need from her, about them. The party tell her that they need them to be convinced the Unseelie is not going to be joining Ludinus and that he is betraying them. She leans over one of them. She says Nana will take care of it, and she draws her finger across their forehead, and a red line appears. Their eyes glaze over. Matt rolls in front of the players a 10 and a 2. Their eyes roll back, and her fingers move around quickly. Then pulls her hand away, and the red line closes. That one has been taken care of. It's now time for the next one, the Emissary. Before Nana can do it, Laudna casts Bane on him 3 times. The final one works. Nana says, if at first you don't succeed, push until they stop moving. God damn it, Nana's awesome. Saving throw from the Emissary, natural 20. Silvery barbs from Laudna, he then rolls a 19. Nana tries again. He saves again, another silvery barbs. He rolls again, 21. -1 from Bane, so 20, he still saves. She tries again, which goes the exact same fucking way. He saves. Literally, the silvery barbs, everything the exact same way. They try again. It fails again. The Emissary is fucking cracked. Nana says she sees why he's the Emissary and asks if they need both of them to go back to the Unseelie. The party say no. She then adds the Emissary to her garden. She places him in the leaves, and leaves begin to come out of his mouth and eventually surround him. He is now a bush. That's so fucked up. Nana's awesome. They have one guard with a modded memory and now a dead Emissary. They now want to use Dorian's Gios spell, as this is the perfect time to do it. Dorian asks Breas what to say, and Breas asks Nana what she changed in his head. She says that she changed the fight to several Ludinuses slapping him for 6 minutes and calling him names. She left a terrifying exchange with Ludinus, enough to set them on the right path. They want him to say that Ludinus is setting them up for a trap, and says to lay down their weapons. Dorian says that he's figured it out. He lays down with him, and Nana wakes the guy up. He asks where he is and how he got there. Dorian says that they saved him, and Dorian starts casting Gios on him. During the casting, the others tell him that Ludinus attacked him and the other members of his group, and there's proof of his betraying the court. Finally, after they distract him for a little bit, Dorian casts a spell, and says you must convince the Unseelie not to fight. No matter what you do, they must not join Ludinus. Laudna casts Bane on him before he makes a saving throw, just to make sure that he doesn't have as many benefits as possible. He rolls the save against Gios and rolls a 20. Silvery barbs, he rolls a 3. Silvery barbs, man. So good. He finally fails. Matt has been rolling like a god tonight. In front of the players, too. So there's no fudging rolls that anyone can accuse him of. It's in front of the players. Nana then lifts her hands, and the vines let him go. He then reaches for his weapon, but it's gone. The party tell him to go and save them all. Deception check of 29 from Breas, as they've just allowed Breas to be the one to lead it. Dorian gives him his mount and tells him to fly to the Unseelie and sends them off. They fly off in the distance. Nana says it seems that they have succeeded in their mission and asks if they're going to be on their way. The party kind of want to rest up and ask if she can affect time for them somehow again. She says it's only possible in her domain. They say that they'll stay, and she's very happy about this. She says that she'll clear their rooms, and she waves her hands and says they're clean, which is awesome. Fern asks if Imogen can look into Predathos when they go to bed. Imogen says that she can try. Laudna says Ludinus is going to know that they were tipped off now, especially that Zuda is dead. Imogen says technically he's not dead, he's just left the Ruby Vanguard behind. Orem says this is a win for them. Chetney thinks that this will help out on one of the 3 missions that are going to be happening soon. Imogen says that they know what Keyleth and her friends will be facing now, if not, a little bit scary. She's a little worried about the invasion force. She says that he kept saying that it was going to be peaceful, but the Ruidus just want to come here. Chetney says if they have a choice, they wouldn't just stay up there. Ashton says if they had the choice, they would choose instead of invade. Fern brings up the art chart. Imogen asks what the party thought about his points. Ashton says that he can get behind it. Laudna liked him, wasn't keen on what he was saying. Dorian says that he didn't like him, but he likes the deal. Imogen says that the deal was to wake up Predathos. Ashton says that means everyone gets what they want. Imogen says except for the ones who believe in the gods. Fern says that's most of the world, and Ashton says not most, but a lot, which just sounds like most. Laudna wonders if sending Ruidus Born is testing to see who is strong enough to be a vessel, or if he's trying to weaken the boundary around Predathos. Orem says that they have yet to see one thing that will prove what will happen. People have said it'll be fine, others have said it'll be destructive. They've had a god say fight, they've had a god say burn it all down. Laudna asks what makes him think anyone would know, including Ludinus. Orem doesn't think anyone does know, which is why he doesn't want to like that match. Dorian thinks it'll happen no matter what and just wants to be there when it does happen. Orem doesn't agree. Imogen thinks it'll be deadly to face off against Predathos, and Orem says that's why they're going for Ludinus, not Predathos. Chetney brings up the other god who sides with the art chart. Laudna says that she got a vision from the Matron of Ravens, and she thought that it might have been her, because she was watching it, and she also thought that the matron would hate her, giving her nature of life. So it's kind of surprising she got reached out to. Ashton says the art chart is the only one he trusts, as he's the only one with the big picture, but he is also a coward, like my video suggested. Imogen says he seemed very tired, and Laudna says that Ludinus could push their hand as he broadcasts his message. Dorian wonders if that'll force the gods to play their hand. Laudna thinks someone will release Predathos eventually. Ashton thinks before someone gets to him, the gods will open the gate and bring chaos. Chetney wonders if the gods opening the gate will also open the gate around Predathos, which might hold their hands a little bit. Ashton says this stuff leads to the worst scenarios. He trusts Imogen and Fern to do what's right. Dorian says he doesn't trust anyone but the group. Orem says Ludinus is ahead of them. No matter what, he doesn't know if they need to flip the switch yet. Instead, they can just cut off his hand so he can't flip the switch. They can stop the switch from being flipped at all. They don't need to flip the switch, as none of them can tell him exactly what's going to happen if they do. They are risking the world, so they better be sure he'll get them there, but he doesn't want it to be left to a coin toss. Ashton says then it's lucky that they don't have anyone who puts their faith in a coin toss around, and then Ashton leaves. Chetney asks Imogen and Fern how they feel about this ask, as it'll be them who risk their lives to do it. Imogen hasn't thought about it yet. She knows that they don't need the gods, but others in Exandria do. To throw that away seems callous. Imogen says that their faith won't be shattered by not knowing, but it would be shattered if the gods run away in their time of need. When all the Ruidians invade, demons are breaking through portals. They don't know what will happen, but if it's going to happen, she'll step up and try. But there's no way she's more powerful than some of the Exaltants up there. Laudna says that she is very capable. She leveled a city block after all. She says most Ruidus born are just born under a red moon that doesn't give them any special powers. So it'll likely be down to the two of them, Fern or Imogen, or Imogen's mother. Imogen thinks the two of them can do it together. Fern says if something has to happen and has to be done, then it has to be done. Fern wonders if it makes them any better to cage up Predathos to save others. instead of, releasing him. What if he just wants to be with his family? Imogen says that she's felt him and he just wants to eat. Dorian says that there's real evil in this world, not everything deserves a second chance. But he's not willing to risk that. He thinks Prodothus is a weapon. Do they have the power to wield it? He doesn't know. But he trusts them all more than anyone else. Imogen thinks that they should talk to the matron. Chetney asks how to do that, topple her temple like they did with the Archard. Imogen thinks that they just need to go there. Fern says that Nana could reach out for her because they cross paths from time to time. Lana says, with all due respect, she isn't a big fan of the idea of Nana Mori vouching for her with the matron. They don't want to start anything. Chenny says it doesn't matter. She seems to know who they are. Orm thinks that the gods have been watching them because they've been walking this particular line. Imogen asks if they went too far today, and Brea says no, they're on a mission and they have to finish it. Orm says that no one said it would be very easy. Lana says they are the worst bunch of fuck-ups, and that's why people think that they can do it. It's their strange quality. Chetney says that they all seem to have the same goal, to hit the reset button. He thinks that they, the party, are better. He wonders if this is the first time that something like this has happened. Dorian asks if he feels as if they're getting their strings pulled. Chetney says that they should talk to the matron of Ravens. Conversations are important. Imogen wonders if the matron can see the future. Did she know her champion would be the catalyst for all of this? Lana thinks that's why she wants to step in more than the other gods seem to. Dorian says if you can see the future, it makes sense that the only one you can't see is the one where the gods come to an end. Imogen says the plan is to go to Vasselheim and talk to the matron, and then fuck shit up. Brass asks if they're going to tame the dragon first. Imogen thinks that they should let him go. Fern says that he's not her dragon. Brea says he can be. Fern says that she'll sleep on it. Orm, even though he disagrees with Dorian, goes over to him and leans into him, and the party go to have a bath. Ashton is in the bar. He pokes at Zuda and says that he's lucky to get to know his daughter now. Lana bumps into him as she goes to get drinks for the bath and invites him to join them. He accepts, and they all get drink and go to the bath. Breas, however, goes off and prays. He asks if this mission to kill Ludinus might lead to the gods needing to flee, is he to prevent that? He opens his mind to both gods and hopes for an answer. He looks at the paint and it falls on the wall. It then makes an arch and then returns and then makes another arch again. It extends into an inky void where flames erupt. Horns rise, framed in shadow, an iron cage lit by the faint light in the room. He says, if what is to come is inevitable, then chase the rest away, and we remain. He blinks and the ink is back to the way it was. He takes the paint and rubs it on his face. Nana says he does beautiful work. He asks if he can admit something to Nana. She says many do. He says everyone else is happy with each other and he doesn't want to be alone tonight. She says everyone is miserable. They're just looking for a chance to forget it for a moment. She then slaps his ass and heads upstairs, and he follows. Fern and Ashton go to Gloomglut after the bath is done. Fern says hi to him and lets go of the vines around his neck. Fern says she's going to let him go, but she wants to rest with him first. He sniffs, and then he nuzzles her, and she nuzzles him back. He wraps his neck around her. He seems smaller than he was before, as if his mental state has changed. He is less confident in this moment. Fern is wearing stuff of all of her friends, so he knows what they smell like. She spends an hour just chilling with him, and then eventually lets go of all the vines surrounding him. She says he can leave, but he can also stay. He spreads his wings a bit and then grabs Fern by the armor and then finds a corner and coils around her, placing her in the center of this massive coiled dragon. Ashton doesn't know if he's invited. Fern asks if he can join, and Gloomglut taps him on the back with his tail. Ashton walks his smooth hand across the body of Gloomglut and then joins Fern. They chill with Gloomglut. His breath grows gentler as time goes on. The sky of the Fey realm looms over them. He looks up towards the light and gives out one last whine and then curls back down to sleep. The party rests up and the session ends here. So there you have it, episode 108 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. We learned a great deal in this episode, but we also just had a bunch of things confirmed that we already kind of knew, so that's kind of interesting. I think the biggest thing that we learned from this episode is kind of where everyone lies with how they feel about the Archart's plan. And we didn't get like concrete evidence on like Laudna and Chetney's persuasion on the whole thing, but we know that Fern and Imogen are definitely willing to make the sacrifice if need be. And obviously, Orem is completely against the idea. Breas seems to be for the idea if it benefits his god. And it seems that Dorian and Ashton are 100% against the whole, or sorry, 100% for the plan. They're 100% on board with getting rid of the gods, which seems very selfish, right? Like the whole idea of Fern saying most of the people rely on the gods. Ashton says not most, but a lot. Honestly, a lot and most, interchangeable, realistically. So it's kind of a selfish need to want to get rid of the gods, in my opinion, that is sort of shining through with Dorian and Ashton here. So who knows? I'm very excited to learn more. I'm curious what other people have to think about this episode because, truth be told, not a whole lot happened. Yes, Zuda is now off the board and there's a potential for Gloomglut. But like I said, the big thing to take away from this episode is sort of where everyone sort of stands on the Archart's plan. So, yeah. Anyway, I will see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.